Well, hey guys, it's Dr. Drake 63, and as you know, we picked up the CZ75. This is the SP01 tactical version of it. Picked this guy up a couple days ago, and now it's time to take it to the range. You see it here next to my Glock 19, which is a gun that I shoot very accurately. It's a 9mm, as is the CZ, and we're gonna take this guy out to the range today and give a little bit of workout and do a little bit of comparison shooting between this and the Glock 19. Now, similarities. You've got very large sights on this Glock, easy to acquire. With this CZ SP01, you've got some tritium lamps on here, which show up a little bit better, obviously, in the dark, but also nice, easy size to acquire. Gonna find, of course, that the trigger on this Glock 19 Generation 5 for me is favorable to other Glocks I've fired in the past prior to the Generation 5. Great trigger. How does it compare to this in single action? And then just for grins, we've got a 357 Smith Wesson. This is the model 586, and we'll compare it shooting some 357 and 38s as well. But the main comparison and the main shooting discussion is going to be about the CZ75. This dog right here has 18 round capacity plus 1 in the chamber. And as I said in the previous video, plenty of experience with CZs, so we're expecting a lot of accuracy out of this. I'm just kind of curious, can I shoot this more accurately than this Glock? So I've got some expectations. We'll see how that goes. And hope you'll enjoy watching my comparisons today. Stay tuned. So we headed off for our very first shots with this CZ. And right off the bat, as usual, noticing that the recoil feels non-existent. You can see, obviously, the barrel flips a little bit when you shoot it, but it's felt recoil is next to nothing. Right at this point, we're just trying out the trigger, getting an idea where the reset is, things of that nature, and it's all fairly predictable. You can see this is from 30 feet or 10 yards. This is my first 10 shots, and as you can see, I saw where my aim point was and got serious about it, and not bad at all. Now we're going to compare it to that Glock at the same distance. This is the Glock 19, and like I said, I've got lots of rounds down the pipe with this one, so this is comparing a brand new, never shot firearm, 10 shots at 10 yards to one that I've shot, I think this has about 3,500 rounds down it of 9mm. So we're comparing these two. You'd think the advantage would be to the Glock. And here's my target with the Glock, again from 30 feet. Not bad. It's a little bit low and to the left. It's always shot a little bit low. But when you compare it again, look at that compared to the CZ right out of the box, brand new first shots. So my first CZ target versus my first Glock target suggests that I'm going to shoot that CZ better. And like I said, the felt recoil on this is next to nothing. Part of that is this particular style of firearm has a very low integral slide. It's connected all the way up and down the frame, unlike a lot of the modern handguns, and that does help. Now what we're looking at is these are shots coming from 15 yards and a little bit farther out. And again, what I noticed, you see me right there pumping my fist. I'm not squeezing that CZ hard enough. Here are my rounds with the Glock. Now we're going to pull that target back into 10 yards, and we're going to fire 6 shots. This is going to be out of the 357 Magnum Smith Wesson 586. And felt recoil on a heavy gun like this isn't really too bad. It's a 4-inch barrel. I'm shooting 158 grain, 357 soft points. I wouldn't think twice about taking a deer inside 50 yards with this, guys, just to give you an idea of my confidence in the round's capability. And but it's night and day shooting a revolver like this versus shooting a semi-auto, without a doubt. And here we're going to look at, in the middle, you're going to see the Smith & Wesson. And you can see pretty decent grouping there, but I mean, it's not competition winner right there. Here's that first target with the CZ, and here's that first Glock target. All of these are at 10 yards. So as you can see, I can shoot all these guys fairly well. Now we're going to bring this in for grins to that distance everybody likes to practice at, the old FBI 7 yards or 21 feet, which seems awful close for me, but here you can see this is the kind of results that we're getting. This right here is with the 357 Magnum. Next, you're going to see our results. This is shooting, this particular one is with the Glock, again, at 21 feet. And this is 6 rounds apiece, so because we can't get more than that inside. And here's the CZ. And as you can see, I'm just all over it with the CZ, shooting the same hole all day. Just real briefly, the CZ comes with a couple magazines. You want to buy a new one of those, you're looking at about 50 to 55 bucks. You get an aftermarket version made by this Mekgar, and you're looking at spending about 28 bucks. You decide. And of course, speed drills. Got to practice those, as well as shooting one-handed. What does it feel like? And this is probably where I notice that extra pound versus the Glock is shooting one-handed versus shooting two-handed. Not a real big deal, but you do notice the difference in weight. How can you not? Okay, just a few parting thoughts for you today. One thing I mentioned during the shooting part of the video was using an aftermarket type of magazine as opposed to the ones that CZ sells. Now, 2 of these 18 round, you know, with the pinky extension kind of base plate, come with the SP01. What you see on here now is an aftermarket. It does not have the pinky extension, and it's only 1 round less. You're only talking about, in the case of this Mekgar, you're only talking about 1 round less than the CZ factory magazine. And my testing it out today with probably 60 rounds or so just in this magazine works great. I personally like a little bit more of a flush fit. Okay, so we're talking about the difference between $28 and $50-something, and I just find that to be kind of ridiculous in today's world. But hey, you know, they're going to make their money somehow, and so are the aftermarket guys. You know, I mentioned a comparison of shooting these 2 firearms, and you know, here's a full-size all metal frame handgun. Here's a medium size, more of a concealed carry size in the Glock 19. Okay. If I was going to do an apples to apples comparison on 9mm full-size all steel frame, probably pick something like a Beretta 92 or a 9mm version of the 1911 and have similar weight, have similar handling characteristics. But having said that, this thing is every bit as much of a speed gun as any polymer firearm I've shot, and I think that was demonstrated. And because you're looking at such a low bore axis, in other words, the height of the barrel off of where you're holding it in your hand relative to the gun and the slide, it's so low, it does create a little bit of a challenge. You have less slide to grab a hold of, but it's amazing how accurate these things can be, you know, right out of the box, as they say. So having said that, for what this is, this Glock, the 19, I continue to be impressed every time I compare it to something else. I don't think it's the best pistol that's out there, but for an everyday carry, sleek profile, has the right kind of weight characteristic, right kind of combination with rounds and everything else. I find the in the waistband carry, the Glock 19 is king, and this is me trying out a lot of different types of firearms. But do I think it's a better shooter than this? No, I don't. I don't think either of them is as good a shooter as this, especially if you want to want to shoot at a longer distance, if you want to penetrate things, you're talking about the 357 round now compared to the 9. So invariably in these videos, somebody always comes along and says, hey man, you're not making a fair comparison. And you know, you're right. If I was going to pick the right Glock to compare a full-size CZ to, it'd be the Glock 17, right? Not the 19. So I get that, guys. But I like to shoot other handguns that I'm familiar with and see which ones that I'm the most accurate with. And certainly, if I'm going to be doing target shooting, I'm going to pick this over a Glock any day. When I hear people make comments that, hey, you know what, they think for a potential pistol combat situation, self-defense, whatever you want to call it, that, you know, wheel gun's fine with its 6 rounds and the speed at which you can fire it. Hey, I'm going to have to debate that a little, because with the exception of a handful of guys, your average shooter is going to shoot a semi-auto significantly faster than a 6 shooter. That's just life. I mean, again, there's exceptions to that. But given that opportunity of carrying 18 rounds versus carrying 6, it's not a hard decision for me. But and that's hard for me to say because I'm a guy that really likes the wheel guns. But I strongly recommend some version of a CZ75 to anybody that wants to have something that can act in the role of a sidearm, that wants to have something as a nightstand gun, carry it in your truck, whatever. You know, is this a in the waistband type of thing? Not for me, it sure isn't. And there's guys that'll carry full-size 1911s and other guns that weigh upwards of 2.5 and you know, pounds unloaded. They'll carry those in the waistband because that's the firearm they want to carry, and I get that. Craftsmanship, functionality, right out of the box, all those things. I love CZs. I love the finish they put on these all-metal firearms. You know, I rubbed a Colt 1911 against something the other day, and it put scratch marks on the bluing that aren't going to come out. It would take a lot to scratch one of these, and I don't really care if I get blemishes or dings on firearms, but it's kind of ridiculous if you're going to make something, make it to last. And bluing is beautiful. I can't argue that this is a beautiful type of firearm and functional, but it's not gonna stay looking this good if you throw it in your glove box and it rides around in your truck and you get dirty and things like that. It's just not gonna. So all different strokes for all different folks. This is why I own more than one pistol. I have different uses for them. The CZ75 though, man, what a great shooting firearm. Like I said, I really like the SP01 version quite a bit, and would highly recommend this to anybody. So anyway, kind of a long wrap up, but I hope you enjoyed watching today. This is Dr. Drake 63 saying so long. Thanks for watching. Carry on, guys.